call the meeting to order, and do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion to approve the agenda. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
A second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Okay, we're on to the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve them.
We have a motion to approve the minutes. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Okay, motion carried. And now we're on to expenditures of March. Well, March to February. So,
All pretty straightforward, I would say. Two items in particular. The Neil Chase one was for, we replaced all the doors and did some work at the grain bins. So that's that $4,500 one. I had some issues with the doors closing and sealing, and also these have built-in blinds, so that help prevent floors from warping and keep heat out. Things like that. So I think it'll be a good investment. The drum mulcher that was approved at the last one is on here. So if you look at the bottom, that's why the amount is so high. That's the bulk of it.
Who's Haley Equipment?
That is the dealer that
They set us up with?
he basically, I was working directly with Diamond. And he's like, I gotta drop ship it through a dealer, and this is the one that I think it brought Carol. Yeah. I didn't really have a say in that. It was just like, this is how it's gonna work. I'm like, okay.
Is there much money left in that fund for the beavers?
I don't know. The county manages that. It's not. It doesn't come out of our
It
budget.
doesn't, oh, okay.
So it's coded directly to a line through the supervisors. But yeah, that was a big one. That's
Yeah.
29
But
beavers.
It's nice to see them getting them and getting them.
They got a lot of
I
work.
think we
here.
got like 50 left. No, 30.
Yeah, after that many.
Yeah,
Because that count up in the office in Mill Creek.
yeah, they're keeping track down there. But and it may or may not exist next year at this point.
Oh, really? Okay.
do they say where they trap them?
Yep.
They,
This guy was up near Hartley.
I was gonna say I recognize the name, so it's like, all right, it's like.
How is our cleaning going?
I think it's going well.
Yeah,
I mean, they come.
Happy?
and-
usually every Monday afternoon.
Happy with what you see? And
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
okay.
I would say, so this year, at this point in time, this is through February, so we have 33% of the budget year remaining, right? March, April, May, June, 4 months. And our overall general fund balance is sitting at, our overall budget's at 45% remaining. And then the general basic, which is our operating expenses, is at 43. The general supplemental, which is again that fringe benefits, is at 49% remaining. But that drum mulcher will probably bring those a little bit closer to where we should be, I guess.
So are we going to be able to maneuver money around accounts or not?
I haven't seen they haven't approved next fiscal year budget, and I think at this time they do that, they'll approve moving the supplemental to the basic. But as far as the line items go within those, we can move the numbers around. It'll just next year we'll try to be a little bit more precise in our budget planning so that line items do line up with.
And maybe change the name of our line items just a little bit to match what we're doing.
I've asked about that a little bit, and
Can't do it.
it's
They don't like to.
they don't like to, yeah. Because it has to be recorded for 3 years or something. It's a
So does that mean a vehicle fund is a vehicle fund only and that's all we can use it for?
no. That's the intended purpose, but it comes out of the general basic fund. So when it comes down to it, as long as the board is agreeing with what we're spending money, we can pull that money from elsewhere within the general basic.
So who's telling you that?
Other directors, I've talked to other people, I guess. I mean, it's kind of just how it works. Yes, your budget is, you're supposed to stick to your line items as much as possible, but when it comes down to it, you can spend what was appropriated to you, depending on where the needs are. So.
Okay.
Is there any further discussion? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the March claims, March 24 claims?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion to approve, second,
I'll second that.
and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Okay, then on to the Osceola Rural Water Easement.
Yeah, so I guess they're not in a huge hurry to drill those wells regarding this easement that we talked about the last time. So it's still a work in progress, but we have made significant progress in forming those agreements. Remember, it's 2 separate agreements, one for an easement from us to them, allowing them to drill wells near the Burnt Bridge access. And again, the actual impact on county land is going to be minimal, if any. And then the companion piece for compensation for that, we're working towards a public access agreement for some of the land that they own. There's 18 acres of that within CRP that we would manage and then post for public access. So we've been kind of going back and forth a little bit on that. But again, the guy at Rural Water was actually away on vacation for a couple of weeks this last month too, so it's been hard to get down. But they're not in any huge hurry, but I set a self-imposed deadline of like the end of the fiscal year to have signed agreements in place. So as we come closer to that, I'll keep you guys in the loop. And
Are we gonna meet with them?
I've asked a couple times. Again, it didn't seem like it was something that needed to be done right away. They want to get all the documents kind of
Are we looking at trying to get access to the rest of the ground also, or are we not?
not within this agreement. Not within this agreement, we weren't.
Why not?
I don't know. This is just where the conversations led. The original piece would be, yeah, just that because because of the land that they already have in native habitat, as well as some of the timber that abuts. The only additional thing that we would do is we would have them put a buffer strip in along the river where it's eroded into the buffer strip there, so there'd be continual access from our little piece that jets out to Wilson Avenue, all the way over to the Burnt Bridge access, both along the road and that buffer CRP, and then all the way from that piece all the way down to the river over to the Burnt Bridge. That was something that we discussed as something that we'd look into the future, and they're very open to that. But if that's something that we want to kind of look at a little closer.
I'm not willing to approve, where I stand, I'm not gonna approve anything until we talk about it all.
Okay.
That's where I'm
Now's the
at.
time to do it.
Yep, do it all at one time.
I mean, and that's what you guys do. I mean, you're the conservation side, and that's what they're trying to do here. So we're not asking for anything other than access, but more what they're looking for too is to turn it into conservation to protect the wells and protect the water.
Yeah, the other pieces of property that were recently purchased by them are, most of it is, there is a piece that's in that floodplain timber that we can do the same thing with. And the rest of it, I believe they're renting out and keeping it as an egg field, at least this growing season.
I wouldn't think they would be farming up next to the river though. I don't know that, I have no
Right.
idea. I mean, those are conversations that would definitely, I think it would be good to have.
Okay.
I just think
they've been really easy, and they're willing to do what they can to meet our goals. So
I just think that's why we want that meeting, to talk, and that way we kind of understand where they're at and what they're thinking and where we're headed, and hopefully be able to work with them
yeah,
forever. So they're not going away and we're not going away.
right.
So I just hate to tie this little 17-acre piece up with an easement. I'd much rather have it over the whole,
Okay.
over the ground they have, and then
Yeah, I think
help
the
them in
initial
any
thought
way,
was that
shape,
they
or
were.
form.
I wasn't aware of their timeline, which I thought they needed the easement rather quickly, which is why we went with just the land that they had already had established as natives to give access to. But now that we know that they're not building wells this summer, or wanting to, we can kind of extend that conversation out. I think, yeah, that'd be a good idea.
I think it would be nice to have a public relationship with them.
Yeah,
I think it would look good for us, it would look good for them.
which is what they want. Yeah.
Right.
So,
And it would look good for the people using the water, which is the whole county. So, see if you can, I mean, it could be as simple as just a morning meeting with them, just to see what their thoughts were. And
okay.
it's
Clear-
getting into
clear
the busy
questions.
time of the year, so,
Yeah, and with this winter, it never really slowed down.
well, it really never wintered.
Yeah. But this will tie into something later in new business regarding strategic planning too.
Right.
This is what I'm looking
Right.
for, is your guys' vision and guidance. So,
And I don't really have a vision on what's down there, I just see what they've purchased, and I just think with you guys' knowledge on how to make this a preserve or keep it the best it can possibly be without hurting it, and they can still probably farm most of it, you're just looking at preserving the ground along the river, which when it goes out, it's tough, no matter what, but I think it's best for them and us too. So I think they've experienced the flooding, we've experienced the flooding, and
Need a little rain, yeah.
yeah, it hasn't been that way for a few years, but it'll come back.
It'll come,
It
yeah.
it cycles.
Good.
But
Okay. So,
I would be willing to work with you on that, Mark, and if one other board member would want to step up to meet and stuff, and just kind of get a vision with them and a vision with us, and not that we don't want their wells to go in, because we need that too. It's just how can we tie it all together that it's good for the public?
okay.
well, be good neighbors
Yep.
all the way around. So, yeah, good.
So,
All right, any further discussion that you'd like? Great. Then we'll move on to the Rotunda remodel project and discussion.
Yeah, so this was Heartland Scenic Studios, the fabricator that our designer reached out to again, I'm kind of coming into this fairly late in the game, I think. But anyway, so this was, he did come up here, had a site visit. We discussed different options and just a little more specifics. And then this is what he came back with that you have there as far as an estimate for some of the work that has been designed that we've paid for. So yeah. A little sticker shock, I guess. So I'm open to your guys' thoughts on next steps. I mean, I can give, through the trust fund that was created by the Strubes, I believe there's $75,000 in that. I think we already put 33, I believe, close to it, into this project. So that's where we're at. And this is just for the rotunda, the center piece.
Right. My thing is, we can do just about all of this in-house here, or, this is, the price is outrageous. I mean, I've dealt with this for 40 years, but we can do that. Yeah, most of it here. Yeah, I mean, be more than welcome to help out, to do it and be able to find some of this, I've looked it up. You can get a replica tree which is 15 feet by 20 foot across for $16,000 complete.
Yeah, for the tree specifically, I brought him downstairs to show him the one down there, and he's like this is what it is. But the one that this is him saying. He said this tree that he has in mind, it would be much more realistic. I mean, so that was his selling point. Is that you could look at the tree that's going to be there, and then you could look at a tree out in the woods, and they'd be much closer to. Whereas that one downstairs is a little. I mean, it's plastic. Yeah, and you can tell. So that was. I have no idea. I mean, this is just what he came with.
Yeah, these are good.
Okay.
So is this the only company that does this?
There's other ones.
There are a few others. There's a lot of other counties and museums and places nationwide that I've worked with is out of Minneapolis.
There's other companies that specialize in taxidermy trophy rooms and museum quality, that type of stuff. And I know quite a few of those guys too. And that's all they do is they come in to a person's trophy room and build mountains and do all that other stuff and murals. But yeah, this is.
Is this the same company that did the drawing?
No, it's a company that he recommended.
Is there any way to get like 3 bids?
Yeah.
Or I know it's a pain. Or what do you want to do, Dan? This is your league.
I can't. Either way you look at it, you should have at least 2 more bids just to give an idea. But for me wise, if we did it in-house, we'd probably be looking at 30 or 40 versus 137.
Plus our labor.
Yeah, and not so far off. I mean,
yeah.
How much labor would
I'll have
we?
to talk with you, Dan, about specific other places to get bids.
Yeah.
I really only know
I
one
give you
other.
the numbers of guys that I know that do great big types of things. Yeah.
Then also talk to them about if you're looking at doing it in-house, what does that mean?
Yeah.
So you got an understanding, Joe and Luke would have an understanding because
Well, the crawl space, I mean, I feel very confident. Joe could, do the crawl space. I mean, as you're coming through, to pick the buffalo up, the buffalo's gonna weigh 250, maybe 300 pounds. We got 4 guys alongside of it, loosen it up, drill it, re-drill it, put it back on. That's, 2-3 hour job. That would be done. Stuff like that. So be able to use it elsewhere. I mean,
Because we got completely new designs for around that exterior.
I mean,
do you want to meet with
yep.
Mark?
Yeah, that was my question.
Yeah.
Was if we,
I'll come over here with
Are
some
you
stuff
on
and
that
we'll sit
committee,
down
Jim?
and
our Rotunda Design
Or
Committee
did you
has,
retire?
it's very few people are still part here that are part of it, I guess. So we need to.
Dan, your heart is really there. I can probably speak for Greg and myself. I'm better off dealing on the ground outside with rural water and what I have no clue in this. So
no, you wouldn't take directions very well.
I'll take directions, but as far as leading in anything on here, if you tell me that buffalo weighed 300 pounds, I'd look at you and say there's no way. But if that's what it weighs, it doesn't look like it weighs 300 pounds.
No.
Looks like 2,000 pounds to me. So
We're not butchering.
this is not my area, so
Okay, as long as I know that.
yep.
So that's kind of where I was thinking this discussion would go, is that we would just reconvene that committee,
Yeah.
figure out if
Sit
there's
down and,
maybe there's another thing I learned is that from the O'Brien County Community Foundation or the Soothing Foundation that has the money,
correct.
that has to go through a nonprofit.
They have to
so,
go, yeah.
So Little Sioux Valley would have to be a part of that, which I mean that's who I would assume would
Yeah.
be that was our group. So
I think the other thing
so if there's
is
somebody other than, I know you're on that committee too, but somebody else from Little Sioux Valley that wants to be part of it, it'd be good to have them on.
yep, absolutely. I think the other thing that is most important is that we do see some progress forward.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's
I mean, because
this guy's like, I have time in April. I'm
yep,
like,
and you get
that'd be
frustrated
awesome.
when things stall out. I get frustrated when things stall out. I like to see progress, and your heart is there, Dan.
Just do something.
Yep.
And that was the goal with this. We were really hoping
starts
these
it.
numbers would be something we could use.
Yeah, I just look at it, it'd be better used in different directions than, you know, what we can do here is not, I mean,
Okay.
Well, I think in the end, ultimately in the end, Dan, you want it to be as real can
Oh,
be
yeah.
too, because obviously in your career and what you do, if it isn't real, it doesn't,
you know,
you can see it.
Because I mean, this has been here for almost 20 years. We'd like the new one to be there just as long,
Yep.
just as engaging.
Yep,
Go after it.
yep, absolutely. You guys,
And I will help. I mean, I
I will help with
heard the
any way you
original-
can help me with, but
Yeah, I heard
what
the
I can
original
help you
plan.
with, but as far as which, I have no idea.
And
So-
Kramer was the one out of Lamar's that came and did the first presentation. Then he sounds like he has recommended this particular company then.
Yeah,
So-
I thought he was out of like Massachusetts or something. But
Well, actually, it was out of, well, the other people were out of, anyway.
I'd use your resources. So,
Okay.
okay, well then I will. Kathy, you want to be part of that committee too?
I can.
And we'll set that up with Dan, and then yeah, all right, and then probably Sarah and I. We'll try to do that sooner rather than later, because if we have to get more folks, it's just going to delay things further down the line. All right.
Okay, we're on to new business and the law enforcement policy handbook.
Yeah, so this is combining pieces of our old one, multiple other county conservation boards and their language. And then Kathy got back to me with a few comments, and then I read it again. So I think this is the strike-through version. I think I cut a couple things.
Yeah, I think it was on the fire, yeah.
Yeah, mostly in the fire and then some of the
Yes,
radio stuff,
yeah.
just to kind of streamline the policy. So I sent you guys a while ago, so I haven't heard much, but if there are, it's up. I would say it's ready for approval if you guys don't have any other comments or additions or subtractions, clarifications.
So the only question I have, because I want it clear, is how is our response with the county? As far as what we're doing for the sheriff's department and stuff like that. When would you respond to them?
If they call.
Right. If they call.
Yeah, and that, if they, I think I had that in there somewhere, regarding the jurisdiction. So, it shall be limited to a Bryan County Conservation Board managed lands and waters, including state-owned within the county. The exception to this policy shall include incidents between any two OCCP managed areas by the most direct route. So that means if we're moving between parks or wildlife areas. So if we, there's a bunch of scenarios, so I didn't want to kind of hog tie us to like not stopping an obvious drunk driver on Highway 10 between Dog Creek and Mill Creek. Like, yes, the sheriff's office didn't ask us to do that, but it's clear that this person shouldn't be on the road. It's up to us as officers in our discussion whether or not to initiate that call. So that is what that incurs, or if there's a traffic accident that anything we witness between parks would be something that we would respond to. And then those incidents where the officers requested to provide assistance to an outside agency, so that's in there. So that'd be a CO for the DNR, Sheriff's Department, surrounding police departments. And then So O'Brien County Conservation Board officers may exercise their duty to act in response to any life-threatening incidents they have awareness of. So that's if there's a call out on the radio of an officer in trouble or an incident, an active incident where life is threatened. It says may, so that's up to the individual to whether or not they choose and have the ability, experience. It's up to them as an individual to respond to those. It's a duty to act as a law enforcement officer. So I'm not saying we in the policy it says they may respond to those life-threatening things that they become aware of over the radio, if it makes sense for them to do so.
Yeah, and the first sentence under that 1.3, under jurisdiction, makes it more to the Bryan County Conservation Board and the managed lands and waters within the county, and then the exception, right?
Yeah, so
Which you
the
just talked about,
exceptions
the
are the ones I just
exceptions
mentioned.
that you talked about.
So scenarios help me understand it too. So like, let's say officer has somebody pulled somebody over just on, Highway 10 out here. I happen to be in the truck having the radio on or having my portable on, and he's getting punched. And like, I'm nearest officer. It's my duty to act, if I so choose, since I'm aware of it, to go respond and assist.
Question. So is he asking more like, say there's an accident call, 3 Mile Corner? Are they asking the fastest one to get out there? Is that what you're kind of getting at?
I'm just trying to wrap my head around, so I'm not asking questions later, of knowing that, because I made it very clear what I thought, and I know you guys heard what I thought. We're not hiring law enforcement. I'm not asking these guys, are not getting paid law enforcement to risk their life for every situation. But you also have a duty, and I get that duty, and I respect that, and you're protecting every citizen of Bryan County if you're pulling over somebody drunk or something like that. But it's also putting you in risk too in them situations which I'm responsible for. I just don't want it to turn into law enforcement, because that is not what these guys are being paid for. That's not what we're telling his wife and his kids that he is doing. He's here to protect our parks and our lands, and I don't want him dead, but I got total respect for that side of it too. I guess as you as director, Mark, I'm putting it on your shoulders to protect your men. You guys got to do what you have to do. I totally understand that. You also made a mention earlier that there's situations and scenarios where you need some training and you need some experience, and I totally understand that also. I don't want you guys' lives put in jeopardy, because that's not how you are hired as a county. Yes, you are, but we're not expecting that every day, the way I feel as a board member, so.
Right, it's not our daily
Correct.
mission is not
Correct.
we're full-time law enforcement, that's not our assignment.
And I think
Yeah.
by adding, that specifically under that in the jurisdiction, is like, which we didn't have in that last policy at all. There was nothing, Conservation
Exactly.
Board, there was nothing at all, where this one specifically states,
Yep.
Conservation Board, this is what we're.
I just think
we're
before
about.
we had a lot of law enforcement.
Yeah.
A lot more law enforcement than what most people realized. And that's your job to control that, and it's your family and your risk too, so. But I totally understand, it's a fine line, so.
I had to look up the definition of bailiwick. It's like-
Yeah, I learned that at the academy.
Pardon?
I'm gonna let you handle that.
Questions?
I just wanted to caution Mark, maybe you know about this, but I know that in the Polina ordinances, they've got a list of who the law enforcement officers are. Conservation officers are identified as a resource. And my guess is, with that said, school districts in the county may also rely on conservation officers for responses. I'm just offering that as maybe a place for you to go and make sure that, I don't know if it'd be through Jared or Bruce or Nate or who, but to make sure that you and they have the same set of expectations.
Yeah.
And again, I think if there's something in our schools and stuff,
I want them to go.
I do too. But I want them to be trained the best they can too. I don't want that responsibility on my shoulders. So
So you want them to the trail.
we've said that all along. I don't believe they're being paid for the risk. That's the other thing I look at it is, and I've said that from the beginning. I don't believe they're being paid for that risk. They're not getting the pay increases like law enforcement or none of that. So they've got to protect themselves too and their family. So it's a fine line. You've got it identified very well.
Yeah, I think
I just kind of wanted to make sure I understood it the best I could.
Well, and it wasn't in the other policy at
No, it was
all,
not.
At
No.
all. So this way, it's like there's specific recognition of that fact. And the word exception adds to that too in terms of the cases that you're talking about. It's like the exception is, it could be requested, which is you're talking about, it could be requested by assistance by others. So it puts it in there, and spells it out
Yep.
more than it ever was in the other one.
I truly believe in Mark's heart, he knows exactly where it's at, but he does not know what situations he might be put into. So he knows that. So he's got the backing of the board. It's just, we're trying to protect him too. So, and his family. So, and I'm sure Bryce, that conversation I had with him, he's got a lot of background and training and stuff too. So,
And we're still working through field training with him. He did spend half a day in the dispatch center, another half day riding around with one of the deputies. And he had a good experience there.
that's great.
So
So how do we go forward? We have to have 3 readings of this?
I have no idea.
I think if we
We've
go
never
back-
had 3 readings of policies before.
I know. I know. What's that?
I think
Ordinances.
Okay.
I know for sure, I don't know about policy.
I don't either. We've never had them before, so we need a motion
I
now.
don't know if this is different than the take-home vehicle policy. I feel it's in the same boat as that. Yeah.
Okay?
And we have the opportunity, you sent it out to read.
Yep. Is everybody,
So are you ready to approve or disapprove or whichever way, well, for a motion, so to speak? So I'll ask for a motion for approval of the law enforcement policy handbook.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Seconded.
We have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. I really do think that like spelling that out
very good.
was the best thing that we could.
Yep. Thanks for your time, Mark.
Okay, you want to talk about the savings bank account policy?
Yep. Sarah had to step out, but try to say it correctly. I guess. Let's try to explain it concisely. I kind of wrote it out in that. So we have a checking account at Savings Bank. I guess it's, the original one says State Savings Bank, so it's Savings Bank at a perimeter that receives deposits from mycountyparks.com. So that's our online reservations for rentals. So that's where the deposits come from. And then from that account, debits from that account include different service fees, excise taxes, and then the actual income from the rentals. So the checks written to the county treasurer. So that's the money leaving. And then due to the nature of the service fees that are set up in order to have an online reservation system, that account slowly accumulates dollars that aren't transferred to the county or transferred to the state for excise tax or transferred to the merchant for the service fees. So we've had $80,000-$90,000 worth of transactions go through there, and not counting the $500 setup fee to start that checking account, I think we're just like at $1,200. So from that $90,000, we've accumulated $700-$800. So talking through the state audit that we had, and then with the auditor and county treasurer, they're like, well, you guys should have some sort of shall not exceed amount set by the board, so that when that kind of extra amount hits a certain dollar amount set by you guys, then Sarah, I will then write a separate check to the county, so that basically that money has to be accounted for somehow. It can't just sit there.
So what would you like that amount to be?
Well, so 1 year, So, I mean, it doesn't have to, I mean, annually, it could be, we could set it as an annual thing, or it could be as, 2,500, 1,500, I mean, it's like
It
how
does
much,
us no good, does it? What good does it do us in there?
it does us no good, and then again, it's kind of like our previous conversation, the check would go to the county.
Right.
So they- did
But the money
auditor-
that's in there, it gets accumulated from the funds that we're putting in there. And other than our setup expense the first time, we should have no more expenses other, correct?
Right.
So it's just gonna keep gaining money.
Very slowly, yeah.
Well, why would we want anything in there? Because it does us no good anyway.
Right,
We
and
have
so
to
that's
leave
why they're
some
like,
in
you
there.
need a policy in place to
Okay.
say when, because we don't want to do it every week or every month.
I would say I'd do it yearly, before the end of the year.
Did the auditor have any recommendations?
They threw out like 1,500, 25, the numbers I just said, I guess 2,500. They're like nothing super exuberant, but nothing to where you'd have to be doing it constantly. Annually could work.
I would do it annually, and we just
Give
leave.
an amount?
I would say we leave $1,000 in it, let it accrue annually, and drop it back to $1,000.
Is that
Okay.
But I don't know what that money is ever going to do us in there.
just,
I think the count itself has to have a minimum, right? And then, so it's a kind of just a clerical thing. Yeah. So I think a motion to say
X amount of dollars in a yearly amount?
which either shall not exceed or every January you make a credit or a debit to the county to drop the excess funds down to 500 or 1,000.
Do we want it in January, or do we want it in June?
Yeah. this
June
one.
is a lot is only saying June's pretty busy with other, like, I mean, we're in the bank all the time in
We'll do it
June
in
constantly. Like, it's just another kind of math.
It's one thing we don't have to
Accounting
think
thing.
about in June, then.
Yeah.
We have enough things to think about in June.
Yeah. So
So the year, calendar year.
Let's do calendar,
either by the end, in,
January 10th.
yeah.
Okay. And do you want somebody want to make the motion? January
What
10th,
amount do we want?
And the amount.
The checking account required a $500 deposit originally.
So then let's leave $750 in there. Because it really does nobody any good, the county might as well have the money. You're gonna let it accrue all year, at January 10th, you're gonna write everything out of there to the county except for $750.
And just leave a balance. The balance would be
You have to keep the
$750.
account going.
Yeah.
That you kept.
That's how they're making the money for the account.
So
So-
do we have a motion then?
Yep.
Do you want to go?
So I'll make a motion to pay out the excess funds in our Primgar Savings Bank policy account on January 10th of every year, down to $750. We will carry a balance of $750 in that account.
Okay.
Do we have a second? Is that a,
Give me a second.
that was a shake of the head, but is that?
Okay, Dan did it.
He was shaking his head, but I'm thinking, I need a verbal. Dan seconds it, okay, and any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
All right.
Opposed, the same. Okay, motion carried.
Just make sure you get that down to January 10th.
Got it.
January 10th. 750.
Right.
All right. Okay, then on to discussion of strategic planning.
Yeah, and this is just kind of bringing to head some previous discussions I've had individually with you all and then also with the staff, is that, so we need some sort of long-term strategic plan to better focus our efforts and resources to reduce conflict between past and current projects that are going on, and future projects. So basically, like, making sure that just because we're doing something now, having a plan in place so that when we do a project at Mill Creek, we're not doing something that's going to hinder a future project that we may want to do. At least attempt to alleviate those conflicts. And then it also would help maximize our chances of being successful in raising funds for projects if we can say, hey, the reason we're asking for this money to do this specific project is because this project fits within our strategic plan. And it's a fundraising deal as well. And it provides us as staff a way to focus our efforts. and direction, so we're not just off doing random things. Which I'm not saying we're going to do that,
No.
but at least we have
It's guidance.
some guidance as far as
Guidance.
development within the parks mostly as well. I mean this, and then so in general this would be a board guided activity. I mean staff would probably end up writing it, but the mission statement and broad objectives would be developed through you guys, and the whole thing would be approved and signed off by you guys. And then, but a strategic plan also includes asking all of our stakeholders for their input as well. Once we get the framework in place, so like it's your job to set the vision and the mission of the organization, right? And then we ask our stakeholders on how to best implement that, and then we put action items in place and work towards meeting those. So it's a planning process. I anticipate this being a fiscal or a calendar year 2025 is when it would be next year. This time would be when we're done with it as far as the planning and the writing it, and then it'd be. I was thinking a 5-year plan, which is pretty typical for strategic plans. So it'd be the strategic plan for either fiscal year 25 through 30 or calendar year 25 through 30. So I gave you a little bit of reading there just to basically understand the process. I went through this with a few times with the old nonprofit that I was a part of. I know Sarah has as well. So I mean, a lot of times people hire consultants to kind of manage this process. I mean, it depends on how involved you really want to go. But also in that the bottom part where it says strategic planning framework, the example that's from Clayton County. And basically how they created their strategic plan, which for conservation directly. So this, yeah.
It's one of
My
the
question is, do you want to do it,
Well, and it's one of the
or is
things,
it a need?
it's in our board handbook.
Yeah, it is. It's the first paragraph.
Highly suggested.
That's where we have to go through, we're starting, but
Yes.
yes, it needs to be done.
Yes, and I think it will give us all a framework, and something to shoot at in terms of where are we going, where have we been, where are we going?
When we go sit down with our supervisors, I mean, that should be the first thing out of our mouth, so they know where we're headed.
Right.
So, and we do not have it set up. We've tried, but it's not there.
That's good.
I would hate to pay somebody to do this for us, so.
I'm thinking, yeah, and it would make it a little simpler and easier, be like, hey, where are we going next kind of thing. But I think we could do this first one in-house and see how it goes.
I think we take our handbook and start with that first paragraph, what we're supposed to be doing. And then from there, put this in place.
Yeah.
It's got the parking.
And I have
And I think-
at least, I think 10 different strategic plans from other county conservation boards that I can share with you. Some of them are, you can tell they hired it out to kind of lead it. And others they did in-house as well. And some are very detailed as far as action items, as far as like for different habitat areas and management areas, and others are a little more broad. So, I mean, I can share those with you all as well if you want to read 10, 30-page documents.
No, I don't.
But I was thinking it's rather simple with actionable items would be the end product. But like 4 main objectives that fit within our mission and vision. 4 main objectives or goals, and then we'd create action items out of those objectives.
It would be good.
So this would require some more time. I would foresee this as having at least 1 or 2 special meetings to focus just on strategic planning, and then after that first one, we can decide how we want to roll it out to the public and other stakeholders, whether that's supervisors. Obviously, we did 1 survey last year at public, but this was focused on Mill Creek specifically. So it'll be a little more broad public meetings throughout late summer, fall, and then a final product next winter.
I think it's a great idea.
I do.
And I know we're all busy, but I think we are gonna go nowhere if we don't do this.
Yeah.
So, And I think it's good for your team too, that there's goals and,
Yeah, we've had some preliminary discussions about this at our last staff meeting, and yeah,
and I honestly think when we have that board meeting, I personally feel our staff should be part of that.
yeah.
Probably,
Well, and they come with different perspectives.
They
We
do.
come with
They
different
see it
perspectives.
way
They
different
see
than
it
we
from a
do.
different perspective, and so putting those all together, is where you come up with that strategic plan.
yeah, and then you're gonna get another perspective when you put it to the public.
Exactly. Right.
But let's try to do it
Yeah,
step by step.
and I envision those meetings to be more workshops,
Yep.
not just sitting around table, but,
Yep. And I would, hopefully the groundwork is already put in place before that, so we have directions
yeah,
here.
that would,
Otherwise, we're gonna get nowhere.
that would fall on, I guess, me, to make sure that those workshops are, we have a very distinct goal for each of those planning sessions.
That's good.
And to reach those goals so that we're not just delayed and,
I think it's a great
Spinning
idea.
wheels. Good. Any other comments? Any thoughts, Mark?
So we'll most likely see a little more on that next month?
yeah, and I'll probably send you some strategic plans just in case you get bored tonight.
If it's
You
raining.
wanna read it?
It's raining. Snowstorm. Okay.
I still think we're gonna get another snowstorm. But
I do too.
Yeah.
I'm hoping we do.
Rain will turn to snow.
Let's just slow this thing down a little bit.
Okay, on to our next one, which is the audio-visual recording system.
So, yeah, I mean, this is regarding audio and visual recording within the Heritage Center, specifically the boardroom, right?
Yep.
Okay. So, I don't know, Dan, you learned some more information regarding closed sessions and things we do.
Yeah. Yeah, 'cause you can't have closed session with the audio or video in here, so I mean, that.
And my question is there a way to turn it off? Or,
Well,
I guess
there really shouldn't be no need for it
Well, I
in
think,
here. That way we don't have to worry about somebody going, oh, I forgot to turn it off. If it's just gone, we're,
In this room.
yeah, in this room. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, we could take the whole thing down potentially, we can shut off the audio,
For me, I don't like the audio in the place at all. I don't see where the use of it is. And,
does
but-
that camera show both doors? Do you know?
it's like a fisheye.
Because that was the initial deal, is they were supposed to be on the doors. And I don't know what that camera shows, if it shows both doors or not. If you turn the audio off, does it still show both doors? Because that was the initial, if we go back to the original deal, we wanted all doors covered.
Correct, from the outside or the
Inside.
inside?
All doors covered from the inside. There was never no discussion on audio out there at all. There was discussion audio in here over the table to record the meetings, and only on when we were recording. That was my thought of
I
the
agree.
original discussion. But there's audio everywhere. So I still feel, this is just my opinion, that we still should be covering these doors with audio or video.
Video.
Whether it's anywhere out here, there should be video on the doors.
Could we set it up where the video's on the outside
I
and
don't-
nothing inside?
There's no, the video?
Yeah, for video of these doors, if we had
Well, I don't know that.
a corner over here, which would basically pick up this and that door, or does the one outside pick up that door?
I was in it just briefly before the meeting, trying
That's
to
why I was asking.
Yeah.
That's how much
but
is-
I don't really access it very often. That door, the front door is definitely covered, and the side door over there is definitely covered. I believe you can see the ramp to this door, and then like the walkway over to here. Obviously, there's nothing covering the actual door,
That's what this was for.
and
But I don't know what this.
you can. I mean, if it doesn't reach the door, it's pretty close, and that door is covered.
So outside would take care of any of the issues.
There's no exterior coverage of this door.
Nothing on this one.
Only
Just the
only the
sidewalk.
sidewalk. I
Right,
think we can see up
but
to
you
like
won't see the door.
firing. I can. I can double check.
I think you're fine without audio, just as long as the doors are covered. I think it's very important outside and inside that you have coverage on that for liability reasons.
Yes.
I'm not necessarily saying you need video, or audio, but video is on the doors is where we were having trouble. In the, in the
Through the yes, I guess.
On the inside.
From the inside.
Well, it's like ours at home is motion censored, and so it moves, it'll follow motion. It's got motion.
None of these move. These are fisheyes.
So there's a way to find out from Tony, I can't remember who put these in, as to,
Yeah, Spencer.
right, in terms of, the audio, which we don't necessarily need.
Yeah,
Yeah.
county IT has management and
The audio
administration
can be
of
shut
this.
off.
Yeah.
Since I'm thinking it's like it's the visual that we need, is if we could find out if it's like, can be turned off so that if we don't need it, it's like,
If you can turn the audio off, Mark, and if you can go and see what the doors are all covered.
Yeah.
They were supposed to be.
Okay.
and then that would cover,
This is the one room where you're gonna have to look, and then you gotta make sure the
yeah.
upper and lower levels and the main doors there are covered.
I guess I never thought about it when we were in closed sessions, while we were over in the other building and stuff too, but it's like, oh, never thought about it. I guess I was just thinking it was, just a video kind of thing, and it really wasn't.
No,
audio.
it's all
both.
audio too.
Yeah. So can we find out some information, then maybe come back to us next meeting?
Eliminate that and just make sure the doors are covered.
I mean, I know we can shut the audio off.
I do too.
Yeah.
I don't
Because I
know.
asked that a couple months ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The audio can be turned
I
off.
cannot. I did just find that out right before the meeting. I cannot do it.
But Tony can.
The IT
Okay.
department can.
Okay.
But you can get on the screen and see what they're covering.
Yes.
So,
It's Sarah and I, and then for administrative purposes, the IT department.
right.
And I think Bruce.
So as long as you can see what covered, if our doors are covered, because that was initially what we wanted.
That was
Is the
the
doors
main
covered?
reason was,
Yep.
since somebody was.
I'll be honest with you, there's nobody here who knew there was audio on it until it started showing up, so.
So do you want to explore that and get back to us and
Yep.
go from there?
I'm sorry.
Just turning off the audio, do we have to do anything
Nope.
to
We'll
approve
make a
that or not
motion.
approve it or whatever?
I guess only because there was a motion to approve the installation of the system that we have is why I was suggesting that it be brought up in a board meeting to make the motion to shut the audio off.
Oh, so
Yep.
do we just need a motion?
I'll make a motion to shut the audio off.
Okay. Do we have
I'll
a
second that.
second? Okay, and.
In this room,
The whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we have a second?
I
So-
second.
And, okay, so is there any further discussion?
Only further discussion, I want to make sure all the cameras stay on.
Yes.
Audio off, cameras on.
On the doors.
Yep, Mark, and you have to look at that.
Right.
If they're not on the doors, we didn't have them on the doors, so it wasn't what it was supposed to be anyway. This is the only one that we make sure is on 2 doors. And make sure all the doors are covered. Because that's exactly what it was supposed to be in the initial deal.
yeah, the only one I can't remember off the top of my head would be this one.
Right.
So. And I can check that as soon as I go to my computer.
Yeah, you just,
Okay. We have a motion, we have a second.
Yep.
We've had discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Okay. Turn off the audio. Okay, then we're on to the ramp renovation. Is that what this,
Yeah, that really ramps are they're kind of like bridges.
a bridge? Okay.
So,
I was trying to think where a ramp was. I
Yeah.
think, okay, it's a bridge.
So it's just a project that we identified as something that we can do. I would say we should do it sooner rather than later. I mean, as far as it doesn't have to be done today, but the next few years, definitely we've had to do work on the decking on this. So it's this ramp, that ramp, and then the one over by the staff offices. So those 3 bridges, I guess. And our thought, they're kind of a maintenance nightmare. and they're not they're rotting. The decking is rotting. We're gonna replace it. Joel worked up some designs and things. Replace with composite decking, new joists and things like that. And we're gonna widen them to 6 feet for better access, so that you're not standing in front of the door when you're trying to open it, and that way you can stand to the side. And then also the railings are not code compliant, since it's so high off the ground. It can be 4-inch spacing, and either 36 or 42 inches tall, something like that. So we'd be replacing them with high quality railings as well. So that's the material cost, the estimate that we got, and because it was over $5,000.
Do we have the money?
I believe so. And I guess this is where I'm learning, like, yes, I believe we have the money, but just due to how things have lined up, the budget, it's a lot of, and I'm learning.
We're learning.
I believe we have it. I'm almost 100% sure that we can find this $5,000. We have some left in our remodel or our repairs for the building itself, about half of it, and then a few other line items that we should be able to use, including like recreational upkeep, which is a standard one. So the money's there, I guess, was my long way of saying.
And this would be for both?
All three.
All three.
All three.
This one.
Oh, this one, okay,
No.
we're not about this one.
It's our job to maintain it.
So I can't give you a timeline on, obviously we try to purchase it this fiscal year as far as when it's done.
Yep.
I just want the approval now, so that when it's time, we can just do it.
I'll make that motion to approve it.
Second it?
Okay, we have a motion and then we have a second. Any further discussion? Oh, I have a question about color. What would you do? Color? Color.
I think you better tie that color in with whatever we're gonna do to the siding on this place, because as I walked up, you can see that that's something that's gonna have to be addressed in the future also.
Future.
Either stained, painted, or redone. Probably redone, unfortunately. But yeah, we're gonna go with. It was dark like they are now.
Obviously, something out here has gotta be rustic.
Yeah,
Rustic, yes.
it was a darkish brown, I believe.
Yep.
There's multiple colors
I
you
think
can
they,
choose from. but-
yeah, I think, then it got a little more reddish as time went on, and then well, not reddish, but, yeah, anyway.
Although I think the railings are black.
Okay, so we had a first, second, and I think we can pass it, so let's say, all in favor, say aye again, if you have it. Okay, opposed, the same, okay, motion carried. And now we're on to items, informational items and correspondence, NAI conference.
Yep. So that is the National Association of Interpreters. And so that's a nationwide naturalist organization. And then this year it's in Council Bluffs, and therefore the Iowa Association of Naturalists is co-hosting it. And so Lindsay will be attending that. It's 3 days in April. Another professional development training specifically for naturalists. And it's actually a regional conference, so Midwest, naturalists from all over the Midwest will be coming there there's both field trips as well as I think 1 or 2 days of actual workshops and trainings. And then part of our continuing ed for law enforcement is the CCPOA Spring Workshop. And that this year is all day Wednesday, March 20th, down in Harrison County with all the other Western Iowa park rangers. And leading that would be Harrison County. But I believe they have a city chief and a sheriff or chief deputy doing some different training, as well as the DNR conservation officers will be doing some trainings there. And that's just part of the continuing ed for law enforcement. And Bryce will be attending that as well with me next Wednesday.
That's just a day event.
Yeah, a long day, but yeah, 1 day. Yeah.
I have to ask, where's Harrison County?
Harrison County is just north of Potawatomi County.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, on to staff board reports, Nature Center and Naturalist. And Lindsay, is that a program?
No, but she gave me some, yeah, she's at a program. She gave me some numbers. There's been 83 programs since January 1st through today. 1,548 people. Moved May date to she's been busy. And then the Nature Center itself, we hosted the Eagle Day with Christina from Shelby County, which I don't know if we counted, but there's 50 to 75 people here, I'd say. And then most of those then explore the rest of the center. We had an archery day in February, which Bryce handled one Saturday, which went really well. They all had a lot of fun, and then when they learned that I was doing it this Saturday, they're like, "Oh, shoot!"
They were disappointed.
But hopefully they still come. So I'll be doing it this Saturday. And this Saturday is the Voyagers program. It's our volunteer Steve is doing a reenactment and / kind of presentation on fur trading from 1800s, 1700s, something like that.
Lewis and Clark, you said.
Lewis and Clark. So that'd be early 1800s.
Oh, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
somewhere.
So that is, I believe, 1:30 or 2 o'clock here at the center on Saturday. So
What day?
Saturday.
this Saturday
Where?
here.
Back to the Eagle Day. Do we have a good display out in the river?
No,
Oh,
I didn't see any. There might have been one flying around, but.
I was directed no.
Yeah. Park activities, projects, since February. Doing a lot of, the guys have cleaned up Mill Creek. That's looking good. They're out Dama today. The actual camping areas, just due with the weather, we're able to mulch leaves and pick up sticks and things like that about a month and a half in advance. We've been doing a lot of maintenance on vehicles, trailers, equipment. Been doing a little more tree cleaning, clearing, piling, brush mowing out of Dog Creek. And then a significant amount of time in the cabins doing some maintenance. The bins have been, Joe's been over there quite a lot recently, as well as the other guys. Patching drywall, fixing cracks, and things like that. We've been able to actually test out this baler that we haven't used. When it works great. It's no longer working. So
There's something wrong with bailing in March.
I know, Luke thought I was crazy.
I saw somebody today was bailing. And I was
But it's something that it's a tool that I really wanted us to figure out and to make sure it was working. It hasn't been touched in 3 years or whatever. So we've been doing range maintenance, typically Fridays.
Cut trees at Dama.
Cutting trees, yeah, they cleaned up and cut trees at Dama. Big one. A lot of time has been spent at the beach rental shack. So we trenched in the drains for the outdoor shower, as well as a French drain in front of the door there. They poured the French drain in with some Sackcrete, and then the main pour is all formed and packed with sand and gravel. So we're ready to pour the main patio, which we have to pour around the beach shack, and then the patio or shower area and footings for the shower will have to be done after that. And then the shower should be installed. And the water line's been in, the drain's been in. And then I met with TCA out there as well to learn more about our cable. And they handle the security cameras out there, which will need some to be addressed as well in the future. So
I was going to say, we seem to have updated them from time to time. So they're suggesting an update.
the cameras.
Yeah.
Have the cameras ever been updated? Because the guy I talked to said they were probably original.
Well, that, but it was back before even that. It's like there was some other types of cameras.
You said these were at least 15, 20 years old.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
So are there cameras up north too?
Oh yeah, that was another thing I learned from him. At Downland, yeah, there are cameras, and I now have access.
You now have
I
access?
now have access.
Amazing.
Which it took, yeah, just
talk
one
about
conversation. So, got that done.
So does other people, when you say you have access, how do you have access?
Through like a secure login.
Through a phone?
There is a mobile version.
So have we X'd everybody else's accesses?
I don't know.
You have another conversation.
Okay.
Make sure all that stuff is X'd. And there's only one login, it's yours and his.
Yeah. Well, and I think,
I would think they wouldn't work anymore after all this time, but
yeah.
Safe and
you
sound.
never know. It'd be best just to make sure that you're the only login there, Mark. Then I have one other question if you're done.
I think so. Yep.
Food plots.
Yeah, I started mowing them today. This week we've been mowing.
Do you have a plan?
Yes, we have a plan. We have seed. Pheasants Forever donated some. Sportsman's Club
So
donated
do we
money
need
for
to
some other
be
stuff.
changing up our planner for different units? So like sunflowers this year, if you're gonna do it, I'd love to plant them in a row.
Yeah. So
With
we
a finger pickup.
there's a discussion that we had with the DNR wildlife people that manage the Waterman area. So
Yep.
they have that's really awesome.
They had some
sunflower
really good
plots.
sunflowers.
And he wrote like a 2-page narrative in steps on like, here's the seed, here's how you do it, this is how you treat it, this is when you do it. So we're just going to try to follow that to a
How
T.
about, can you look into that to see as long as we have what we need in our 7,000 planter to plant it?
It's
I
a
think
corn
finger
planter at the
pickup.
smallest setting.
So it's a finger pickup.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay? Good. I'll talk to Randy because he said he was gonna help.
We have
Joe.
a corn planter at Crosby.
Yep, Randy's gonna work it over with Joe.
Okay.
You're right. But they had some impressive sunflowers.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah.
impressive.
And he wrote it out.
We
So
need
I
some
think if we
impressive
follow it-
sunflowers.
That brings people in to see that too.
I mean, we need impressive sunflowers down here and out here.
Yeah.
Because you can see them from the road in both directions and
Oh, that would be.
they just looked awesome over
Yeah.
here. They were right over here.
And I believe that was some of the herbicide that we purchased last month. Was that part of Luke's herbicide purchase? So that's what we need. It requires like pre-emergent, and then
And if we need any other meter stuff, let us know.
okay.
Okay.
This year, we're gonna be more prepared on that to make sure it's,
Yeah, I mean that's what I baled. Some of the stuff I cut down last year just to try it, and then we've been mowing the rest of it this week to start. Because I think sunflowers you're gonna want to plant early. Like
I'd say about the same as corn would be my guess.
I think they said
Mid-April.
early. I'll look into it. Yeah.
You tell us, if you got the plan,
Yeah.
whatever they did it right.
Yeah.
Okay. You have any further comments, Mark?
Can I ask, where do we get all the rock that you had piled up over here on the other side of the Buffalo?
Oh, that was from the pasture.
That come out of there?
Yeah, so that was another
That
project.
worked up that you wanted to get out of the way, or?
Yeah, because the pastures are full of Queen Anne's lace and kind of sunflowers, which it was planted in the prairies. So I mean, we're not trying to make it a brome field, but the amount of forage available has been diminished, and either just due to lack of management or whatnot. So we, in order to make the pasture a little more easier to work, we decided to pile some of the rocks up, pull them out, and
Yeah.
then we mowed everything down there. So we got a product that we're going to try to apply to reduce the Queen Anne's lace specifically. So
I have one more question. How are we sitting on hay?
really good. Yeah, we haven't been eating nearly as much. I don't know
Kinda
if we
great,
got higher
yeah.
quality stuff or what, but we should be able to feed them bales for a while. I need to go close that pasture gate. It didn't get closed the other day, but that south pasture I want to have grow.
So do you have an idea now, going over a year, about what we need for hay to have on hand?
Yeah,
How many barrels?
yeah, I think so. Which it's roughly one a week. And
So
when it was
about
cold,
50.
they were going through it a little bit more, and I think it had to do with the forage, the quality, because we had variety of alfalfa, ditch grass, and then some other grass, I think. So
And you have no place to keep them inside?
no. and I don't want to put them in that shed. Yeah,
No.
since we have tractors and vehicles in there.
Okay. We might store some over there this year for you, and then we'll keep them inside until you need them.
Okay,
And then we'll
That'd
bring
be-
them over, because it's just better hay than,
you're right.
sheds are sitting there empty anyway.
Yeah, and with the bison, I also kind of regarding the bison, talked with TNC, the guys who have a big bison herd over in Broken Kettle Grasslands near Akron. They're out here and they're like, "What do you do for supplements?" I'm like, "Oh." So he donated a bag of just mineral supplement. So that'll be something I'll keep an eye on too.
We're all getting educated.
Yeah.
Any other further questions, comments? Okay, now, public comment. Any, go ahead.
The question that I have is on the IR video recording system. You probably want to check with Katie or somebody, but when you record something, it might be a public record. So what you need to find out is, and it's a policy, I think, decided by you, is what your retention time is. How long do you have to retain that? With videos, it's kind of a choice, but you probably want to decide what that would be. Is it a week, a month, a year, and then they're gone? That's why
Well, first of all, I think we've got to find out from our IT how long they can even store them.
We have playback capability of 3 weeks from our login.
And that's what I'm about on mine at home, is about a month.
Yeah, 3 weeks to a month.
And then it just automatically drops off after that, which,
I'll look
Because
at the
otherwise
public
it
record,
takes-
because this is a surveillance system.
yeah,
First,
it just
that's
takes
what
a
it is.
ton of
It's-
time,
So
ton of space.
I don't believe there's any sort of public record availability because it's a surveillance. It's meant for security.
Yep, and that's what it was put in for.
That's what it's here for, yeah.
I'll see if there's a county, and it's managed by our IT department. I believe they have a policy in place. So.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Mary.
Those one.
Yep.
My second one is, Sunday was a gorgeous day and the dogs just love wandering out to the cemetery with us in the afternoon. And while we were out there, we noticed that a couple of the stones probably would benefit from a little bit of leveling through our Pioneer Cemetery organization, but it's under you guys' control, so if you want us to do that request, or if the group wants to, we will make a request of you if you want us to do that. I would only say at this point, if something develops out of that, maybe you guys could buy the gravel you're talking about, maybe 3 bags of nice clean gravel is all it would take. But I also did notice that that fence is really crying for some help. Really bad. Maybe the Historic Society would be willing to help with that, with the fence.
And I think, Mark, I guess, we don't want the cemetery to get any worse than what it is. I sure wouldn't think so. So how do we handle that then? What do we have to do as a board to get the Pioneers to help us?
I would say just request it, because we really we don't have control over anything. We work with the owners of the property. So the 5 that we primarily deal with, it's the township trustees that we deal with. Dutch Fred is DNR, and then Waterman is you guys. So I'm just sharing with you, if you want, there's 4 stones out there. 2 of them are fine. One is very badly tipped, and one is just a tiny little bit tipped. A scoop of gravel, if you did anything, would be. The other one would probably take probably a bag or 2. You aren't gonna know until you get under there and know what you're into. It's really just a request, and then we would need to probably haul a trailer out there. But you're only looking at a couple hours of work for the stones. we're not chartered to do anything with fences or landscaping or anything. We can do a sign, you know, like a directory. That would, and I wouldn't put one out there if it was me, but anyway.
It's
So
a-
the fence, that's out of our,
It's an old split rail
Yeah.
type fence, isn't it?
yeah, I have pictures. You want to see them?
It's been a while since I've seen them, but it's like, but they're falling. Is it-
Oh, yeah, they're.
Mark, I think we ought to put that on our agenda for next month.
Do you guys,
Or do we have to? Well, we have to. It's got to be
I
on
can
our
just
agenda.
follow up
Do it. Take care of it. Yep.
as far as the
Maintenance.
stones go and then
Make it happen.
Just
put the fence on our list.
general
Yep.
maintenance.
Exactly. Perfect. Mary, did you have a third question? Or was
Yeah,
that two?
well, it was a comment.
I have questions.
Okay.
Okay.
My comment was thank you guys very much for that dinner Monday night. It was absolutely wonderful. And for all of you who did so much hard work, baking, cooking, salad stirring.
Well, thank
did
you
a
very
great
much
job,
for
and I
coming
Thank you for it.
to both our reporters. I mean, we appreciate you being there. We appreciate what you guys do too. So,
So that was my three.
Okay, while she's looking, comment.
Awesome. Did you do sunflowers last year, or is this the first year you're doing that?
first year. We failed last year. We did plant them. We didn't get no rain. So we tried, but we're going to do a better job this year.
And then the $5,000 for the grant, is that from the general fund, or did you say you got a grant for that?
Yeah, so I'm thinking it's.
That would be just out of our operating, yeah.
Okay.
So
And-
this one's
This is
broke,
like
so
that.
this is on there.
And you'll
I
just
think it's the
install those
north.
with staff?
Yep.
Any
So
decision on color, or are you just throwing those around with
Yeah.
lavender?
I don't have the specific color. It's gonna, they will be very similar to the color that is existing right now. I
It just
believe.
needs to be maintained.
Good, and then
Good thing.
for the
Actually, I
audio,
think
have you started recording on
Not
these yet?
being,
This security system records audio, and it has since it's been installed.
If they're tipping like.
Which was when?
I think one of them is actually broken.
I wasn't here.
I'm gonna be.
Okay, so a few years ago.
Yeah.
Why is it so important that you take the audio out, other than the closed sessions? Because you said you're gonna take audio out for around the building,
Through the building.
through the building?
Yeah.
In the building.
Because that's not what it was meant for when we approved it.
Okay.
It was meant for security on our doors because we had break-ins. We had no idea there was audio in it.
Oh, when did you find that out?
Approximately a year ago.
Okay, sounds good. And then last thing is, what is the rotunda project exactly? What does that all entail?
Yeah, that's been covered a lot. It was initiated due to other people.
Donation.
A donation that was specific to developing the displays and the rotunda exhibits. And so
Which is
this is the round building room. And that updating it. And it's been in the design and planning phases since
2 years also.
2021,
Yeah.
roughly July of 2021.
Okay, and what are you all doing to update it?
Uh,
Or that's what this new committee is for?
yeah, and I do know it's been covered quite a bit
Yeah,
recently.
if you look back in the, it's been covered. And I think there should be pictures in there.
Schematics and designs have been shared before.
Video
Yeah.
presentation, I think.
Yeah, that we had a big open house and a, kind of thing, or with its true donation and, yeah, so I think there was and then it's just kind of languished a little bit kind of thing, so, yeah.
Turnover, right?
Yeah,
Mostly.
took its toll. It took its toll, yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Any other further questions? No? Lynn, do you have a question? No, you're good? Okay. So with that, next meeting will be April, what?
Maybe 10th.
Is it 10th?
I think it's-
April 10th?
I remember that.
And with that, we have a motion for adjournment?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion for adjournment, we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Right.
Okay, we are adjourned at 4:20.